Okay, welcome to the Jamboard and Padlet PD. Thanks for coming and spending your afternoon with us. Let's take a look at the agenda for today. So first we're going to talk about what is Jamboard and Padlet. Just basic walkthrough explaining what each has, what they offer. A Padlet how-to, a Jamboard how-to, a share out of different strategies that we've used in our classes, as well as a chance for you guys to share out what you do in your classes, because we know that many of you are using both of these or one of these in your class. So there'll be time for you to share out what you're doing so we can each learn from each other. And then we'll end with some tips and tricks. And on that, we're going to turn it over to Steve, who's going to walk us through Padlet.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. Hopefully everyone's doing well and staying safe in this new kind of environment that we keep finding ourselves in. Just wanted to go through Padlet. I know that some people might have been using it for a while, or some people might have forgotten about it, but it's one of those resources that's always there. It's always available, and it's a great resource to use for the classroom. There's a lot of different ways of using it. I've used it in a lot of different ways for my classroom, whether it's doing timelines. You can do a lot of different things to make it look like a stream. I've used it for silent symposiums, digital kind of silent symposiums to get people thinking. We've also used it a lot in my classroom for brainstorming and kind of getting ideas down for various paintings or other things that we're working on. So I just wanted to show this picture here that we're looking at on the slides is basically what it looks like when you first go into it, and it tells you kind of like your setup. So this is your kind of dashboard image that I wanted to show you first, just to show you the different ways you can set things up for your class. And so we'll go through some of those and what they do in a little bit. Next slide, Matt. All right, so Padlet is, for those people who do not know how to, what it is or haven't used it, it is a digital tool that can help teachers and students kind of have one single place to offer different things like a notice board. It offers different abilities to put in images, links to different things. You can use it to create videos. I know some people are using Flipgrid quite a bit in their classroom since that got shared out too. But this one actually encompasses everything, which is a really nice thing to have because you can use it for voice recording. You can use it for displaying images. They can share images that relate to things that you're asking or answer questions that way. Again, I've used it for silent symposiums, and they're just using images and they kind of reflect back and forth on what they're looking at. But it's also great for doing video feedbacks. They can also do that with their, with this as well. So it's a good thing to have and to use for a one-stop kind of place for everybody to do the things that they require for their classroom. Then it basically just, at its most basic, it is kind of like a notice board, but it's really good because it has everything that you could possibly want to use in it. Next one, please. So just to give you, again, it's a little bit kind of different things that you can do with it. It is one of those ones that's sort of like a one-stop kind of thing. It is very collaborative, so it works very well to have kids voice their opinions on things. It is one of those things that get them brainstorming, and it's very easy to use. And so we're going to kind of go over that right now. So Matt, if you could stop sharing this, and I'll share my screen. All right, so if you guys could, let me know when you guys can see it, and I'll go through. Actually, let me see. I like to present my whole entire screen. It makes it easier for me. Are you guys able to see it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So this is when you log in, you're going to have all their different kind of Padlets that you've created all in one place. This is the dashboard. It allows you to kind of go in here and either make a Padlet, or if you're trying to share one with another teacher, they can go here and also join a Padlet up at the top. So this one goes through, it tells you your recent ones that you've made, ones that you've made, like as you can see here. There's other ones where you can start to share things you've liked and archived as well. And so you can also organize these into folders, so for different classes or whatnot, if depending on what you want. You can see all the different ones I've used over the time here. I like to use them. I use them quite often for different things like critiques. So that way it actually has a place for students can comment, they can make videos on things, they can do basically just kind of anything what they want as far as voice their opinion, add likes, things like that. So it's really nice to use. So when you're going about making these, the one thing you want to do is just obviously click on the Make a Padlet. Can you guys start to see, like it should be sharing my whole screen, so you guys should be able to see what I'm looking at. It says start with a blank. Can you guys all see that? Okay, with this it's nice because it gives you different options. There's 8 different options for different ways you could set it up. You can pick it as a wall where it just kind of lays everything down in kind of rows. There's a stream where it just everybody who logs in first that basically posts theirs and then just kind of works down. So it's kind of like using like Instagram or Facebook or any of those things. It just kind of goes in a stream. Then there's different ways you can arrange it, whether it's a grid. Yeah.
Can you zoom in on your screen a little bit? Or you guys can pin it to your screen like Matt said so you can see it a little bit clearer.
I can see what I can do. Should be like, is
Thank
that
you.
better?
Perfect. Yes,
Okay.
that's great. Thank you.
So this one goes through different ways of kind of setting it up. I know Matt uses it quite a bit and he uses the shelf. That's a really nice way to set up things because you can put different questions and then have them answer underneath. There's back channels that you can use kind of like to communicate in a chat-like environment. The map is really nice, especially for my class and for, I know for history classes, you can do things and put images in different spaces or questions for different areas. The canvas is nice. That one allows you to use connectors to connect like ideas or thoughts or to kind of get them thinking in a certain way. And then the timeline is also really nice because that one allows you to do, especially for math teachers, you can do how they would start to write out or solve a problem, and you can do it in steps that way. So that was always really nice. The way I usually do it is I usually pick anyone. It doesn't really matter. Sometimes I like it different ways. Most of the time I just pick the wall. And so the cool thing about Padlet is it gives you a lot of options. And they also give you a lot of funny names. So you'll want to change that name. So all you do is just basically come on up here and you can change the title. You can also change the description. So you can add a description of what you want students to do, kind of almost like instructions. You can do icons if you want to. It also allows you to have the links there to copy to the clipboard. So far, so good? Right, so here you can also pick the background that you want. So if you want different things, there are some that are seasonal. There are some that are like calendars or different things, different images. So you can pick any of the ones you want that are there. And then that way it kind of allows you to personalize it. You can even add your own wallpaper from your computer, just kind of putting in whatever you want. So first thing it always comes up is naming it, and then you can kind of choose different fonts. You can choose how you want it displayed when people sign in. You can put the author's name above each post. You can also put in, so that way if you want students to have comments of it, students can also comment on the post. And then you can also do reactions. This is one thing the kids really like. They like to be able to get likes. They like to see how people voted for their work or giving stars or even a grade. And so you can kind of do that too. So this is, you can do those kind of reactions to it as well. The one thing I do like too is it allows you to filter different content. You can do it so that it requires a moderator who would be you to approve the posts. Sometimes the kids want to do things that are not really appropriate, so you can actually approve it if you wanted to, or you can also filter profanity out of there. So it replaces bad words with nice emojis, and it kind of does those things for you. So once you create it, once you change all the names and all that, you can actually just click next, and then you can go ahead and start posting. But before I do that, I wanted to show you different ways that you can do. So you can also remake it if you wanted to remake this for another class with the same questions. It'll kind of just remake it for you. So that's a nice feature to have. You can also share it with other people. You can copy the link here. The one thing I did want to show you along with the share part is the privacy. So you can change the privacy on these as well. So you can keep it private. You can actually have it password protected so people just don't get in. Members only. I usually just make mine public so it makes it easier. And then you can change the permission with it as well. So it has a lot of nice security features in it, and that's one of the things that makes it really a useful thing. You can add members also to collaborate. So if you wanted to share it with somebody else so that they can actually come in and basically act like almost like they made it, so that's kind of they can have ownership of it as well. So you can share it with other teachers. It just helps to kind of get that out. And there's, again, obviously various ways of sharing it. And then if you're using it to kind of collect data, there's different ways of saving that as well. You can export the whole entire thing as an image, as a PDF, a CSV, or a spreadsheet file. You can also print it. So it's really nice in that aspect that you can do things with it. So again, there's some different settings. You go back and you can change the name if you needed to or whatnot. So I'll show you, what I wanted to do is show you some of the ones that I've made, just so you get an understanding of like what that looks like and how I've used it. Some of these I've actually done. This is the Holocaust and Genocide project that I recently had my students do. And one of the things they had to do is first they had to do the project, the image, either a painting or a drawing, and then they had to write haiku poems about some of the work that they've seen. So as I scroll through, you'll see some of the paintings as well as some of the different things that other kids have added to them as far as points, comments, things like that. I also had my students grade just kind of what they would do if they were the teacher, what they would grade it. And you could see some of those kind of things there. So this is kind of one of those things that I like to use. It gives the students a voice. It allows them to collaborate, and not just with the one class, but I use this for, this Padlet here was actually for all 4 of the classes. So for the drawing classes and the painting classes. So they were allowed to come in here, share their work, kind of talk about it, and to, kind of give each other critiques on what they were doing, as well as some of the other things that they were doing as far as poems. This is another one. You can also click on the images, and so it'll actually make them bigger so that you can read them and see things a little bit clearer. You can download things like such as images. If I wanted to use this one for an art show, I can download it and then kind of keep it to my computer and send it off that way. So this is Padlet. Again, like I like to use it. It is a very good site to just kind of to collaborate with, to talk with students, to get the kids to brainstorm, and to do a lot of other things that just make it sense for me. Are there any questions, or does anybody want me to show them anything in particular on Padlet?
Can you show me one of the ones you did for maybe a math? I mean, I don't know if you have any available, but do you have any math ones available?
No, I teach art. I don't have any math ones, but if you can kind of, you can play around with it and kind of work that way. But I only have the art ones that I've done for my either art history class or for the other classes that I've done. I
like those. I was just trying to stretch my brain as to, okay.
Yeah, the one that I usually like for math, to be honest with you, like I said, is this one here, the timeline.
Yeah.
I've seen other teachers use it in other schools before, where they actually had, okay, this is how you start the math problem, and then one kid would have to come in. If you put them in groups, then they have to do the next step. Then somebody else would do the 3rd step, and then 4th step.
Right. I like that.
Yeah, it worked really well. But I've seen the teacher use it, and it was great. The kids actually learned a lot, and they started to understand the structure of the question that was being asked. So that one worked really well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
thanks.
but yeah, absolutely, anytime. But like the ones I have are just all art ones, and most of them are obviously either for painting and drawing or for art history that I teach as well. I've also done things with text and images. That's kind of when I have them do a lot of writing with, but it just all depends on what we're working on at that time. Any questions? Any comments? Anything you want me to show you?
Steve, we got a couple other examples to show them.
Okay. You want me to? You want on the Google link?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing then, and then you guys can go ahead and look at those. All right.
Okay, so we got a couple here to show you here. This is just how you use a stream, or what a stream looks like. This one was done by Steve. And so this was his blog assignment, commemorating the dead. And here, this is just a straightforward stream that goes all the way down. And it's just people are commenting on this. Okay, here was his question: how did your family? And then it is answered on here. and they were able to see, he's able to see what they're doing on it. So that's what a stream.
This way makes it easier, especially if you're doing like some participation points for the day. You can easily go through this way and actually find the names of who to give the points to. So Stream works really well for that one. The wall, it gets jumbled up and kids start posting things and it just kind of moves on its own. So I would recommend if you're doing something like this for participation points, I would use the Stream. It usually works really well. That's what I like. If you have multiple questions like this one that Matt's going to show you.
This is how I do the shelf. And the idea is that it does take some time to set it up, but I have their last names here. And so I can look at, here's, actually James A. by Karina, actually by the first name, and they just find their name and they type in there to answer the question up here. Okay. And so, or I could have different questions up there and then I have other streams on there. So this just keeps it all organized for me. And I can see who did what. And it makes it very simple for me to find out who's in that column and who's not. So this is one way, but it does take some time to set these up at the top here. But this makes it much easier for me to figure out where they are. And the reason why I did first name is because at that point, that's how when they're appearing in my Google Meet, we're all by first name. It's much easier to do it that way. The next one is, I'm not sure this will work well on my computer. Oh no, Pablo, this is Pablo's. Pablo, you want to speak on it?
Yeah, so this one I had students review for an upcoming test. And so any problems that may have given them difficulty, I had them post up questions and then they could just go ahead and comment as they move along. It wasn't really designed for every single question, but just like a set of questions. And then I would call in certain groups sometimes to have them go ahead and put what they have for a certain question and then see if other people can comment on it, and then it's just kind of a snowball effect. And sometimes I do see them like correcting each other and commenting. So it could get jumbled, but it's more I'm asking them for like specific questions or certain challenging questions.
Yes, Stephanie, that is true. If they're not, then I just make sure they put their name on it. If it says anonymous, they know what to do on that. And then last but not least, I'm not sure this will work on my laptop because it's an older laptop, but we'll see. This is a video Leanne made. If it's all scratchy, then you guys have to watch it on your own.
So with Padlet, it opens up so many opportunities to work with words, work with questions, have virtual discussions. There's so many ways, and a couple ways that I've used it in my class is with vocabulary, or if we do like in class, generally in class, if we did a silent symposium and students walk around just commenting on the word, this is how I've used Padlet with, I believe this is the shelf one, put words on the top, and then students, this was just getting into a unit, just trying to get them interested and make a connection and just posting what they thought of a word. Another way is putting vocab words up here, and students can put an image they think of with the word, or an example that they think of the word. So if you have used silent symposiums before, or World Cafes, this is the shelf one definitely adheres to that one, because you can just put it right on the top, and then students just note below what their thought is of it, or again, if it's vocab, a picture that connects with it. It's endless. A debate, maybe there's a topic that you are bringing up that's a debate, and I think that can happen in any content area where there can be a debate about a topic. They choose yes, no, yes and no, it depends, and then we talk about the responses together and why nobody picked no. So it can bring, the silent part of it, but bringing it back to the class discussion as well. Lastly, and this is just like a regular, I guess, traditional Padlet where they just put it wherever wherever it lands when they post. I'm just posting a question up. We were focusing on perception for this one, and just putting the question up here, and then they just have to list what they think of. So instead of having a class discussion where it's out loud, because we know that, gosh, students just talk so much in this setting, it's unbelievable, right? They feel more comfortable posting it on here where they can just write it rather than speaking out loud about it. So those are some ways that I've used Padlet in my.
Well, thank you, Leanne, for she is at a Read 180 meeting now.
Yeah.
So we're gonna
hold on, Matt. There's been a lot of talk about putting like names in. I know I usually have the kids log in with their Google account before, so that way it automatically does things. One of the things I always do though is before they start a post, and I always let them know, always start it with your name and your period just in case. Because I usually do Padlets where I have them throw all their work basically on there for the project. So for the Holocaust and Genocide project, I had all the different periods put their work on one page, so that way everybody can see what the students were doing in other classes. They can get other ideas and kind of make changes to their own work from there. So everybody has to start with their first name, last name, and then usually their period. And then from there, that's when I do it. Plus, if they want credit for doing the things, they need to have their name there. So that's one of the things I always do. But I know there's also been some great ideas with talk about poetry, using it for evidence for writing. Again, I always like to do the videos too, because it just gives me a different, opens up a lot of different things for students. You can see their reactions to things. It's a really good kind of resource to use. So it's actually, and they can do things on their phone as well. So it's been a really good experience having them do it. They like using it. And so it's one of those things that I've used for quite a while that I'm going to continue with. Leanne had mentioned also about using it vocabulary. I like that too. I've done that with having them certain words for art history, and then having them use like the numbers 1 through 5 if they understand it. 1, I don't know it, things like that. So that's a good thing to use for that as well.
also, another thing which is good is this is really good for having students comment on other students. Now, I know Steve does that a lot with his evaluating art, but this is a good way. Kids know you're going to get commented on, so you got to make sure you have a good comment up there. Otherwise, they may be a little not kind to you with your comments. But it's a very good way for students to give feedback to other students also. So if there aren't any other questions, we're going to continue on now. We're going to go into Jamboard. Pablo,
Okay.
you're on.
All right, it'll be my turn. Okay, so as far as Jamboard, this is an app that can be found on the Google Suite for education. You can find it over in the Waffle. I'll give you a tutorial once I give you a little bit of an overview. It's like an interactive whiteboard. I like to think of it as one of those large Post-it boards, and then you could put the sticky notes right on top. And then as you go, people can comment. They can use the marker to further add feedback, and so it really gives you other options. Now, Padlet does have those nice backgrounds, but Jamboard it's just only white in the background. However, you can add a background by uploading an image, and then on top of that would go all the Post-it or sticky notes. So you do have some options there. This one, you would more so share out the link, and the students would have to put their name in there. Even if you try to log into Google, Jamboard is kind of like its own app. So every time a student would comment, they would have to add their name, or you could also have Post-it notes, such as Matt. Matt has done that. He's had Post-it notes with their names already on it, and then they comment accordingly. This is pretty good for collaboration. It could be both teacher collaboration and student-to-student collaboration. You can also have them share ideas. You can have them share ideas and concepts. That's what I usually do for my science classes. Have them share concepts, ideas, and to respond with some feedback. I do have a tutorial right there. So if I'm going a little too fast later on, you can go ahead and open that up. But I'm going to go ahead and share out my screen. So Matt, if you can go and stop sharing, I'm going to go ahead and open up and share my window just to kind of give you a rundown. So
Pablo, is this what you wanted to share them? Was this PDF?
Well, this, yeah, I could just run through this one. That's fine. Yeah. So Basically, what you would do is right next to the Google Suite sign, you go to the waffle, and you would look for Jamboard. If you don't already have Jamboard, you can just search for it. Google.com, just search Jamboard, and then you can get the app, because that way you can place the app closer up to the top, so you can refer to it, because it might be lower on the waffle list. So once you click on that, there's going to be a Jamboard that's fresh and new, and you can go ahead and give it a title. Okay, and then going down a little more, you can give it a name, because it's going to be like a file that's going to be saved to your Google Drive, and then you just hit OK. And then what you'll notice is once you're on that Jamboard, there's going to be some sticky notes that you can go ahead and add. There's different colors there. Thanks for zooming in. Different colors. So you might have certain colors for certain concepts or topics that you want to cover. The student would, of course, write their comment, and then have them add their name too as well if you're doing it this style, and they would save it. And then moving on, you would just kind of build up all the sticky notes as they go along. You could preload this. You can also rotate them with the lower, like the corners that you see on the top left. You can rotate. Also on the 3 dots, you can go ahead and edit, duplicate, and delete. And then you can also make them bigger. So with the 2 corners on the bottom, you can go ahead and make the sticky note bigger or smaller. And if you have like a really big, let's say you have a central question, you might have a really big sticky note to begin that Jamboard. And then on to the next page. And then also with each Jamboard file, you could add more pages, which are essentially frames. So you would create frames, and it's really up to you how many you want to create. The students can also create more frames as they move along. This is a basic background. So with the background, you can add like a graph style. You can add a color. What I usually do is for each period, they have each period has like a certain background color to begin with. So that way I know which period has what Jamboard groups, what Jamboard files. And then this is kind of an overview of what you can do. So let's say on the background, for this one, there was a picture that was uploaded as a background, and then the sticky notes go right on top to collaborate and answer accordingly, like which areas were addressed. This was actually a teacher-to-teacher collaboration over the summer with the science group from Stanford called Scale, and so this just kind of gives you an overview of what can be done. And let's see if there's anything else that's up there. Okay, and then looks like we got the title. This is just a Jamboard. You can always change the name too as well. And then this kind of gives you, this is when you first go to Jamboard, you're going to see like your home page. And then these are all the Jamboards that you have created. And then if you want to create a new one, it's like on the lower right side. I don't know if it'll show up, but it's like plus new. It'll be on the lower right side, plus new, and then you can create a new Jamboard. So we have shown you one sample, which is a little larger, but we'll show you some other samples as they move along. So it's a little bit of an overview. It's not as visually pleasing as Padlet, but there's still a lot you can do. And then over here we got some links. So Matt, you want to go ahead and share out the one that you got?
So this is how I use Jamboard in my class. Usually it's part of a presentation where I want them to ask a question, be able to address it. And so one thing I do is I have the oops, shoot, did I click on the, hold on a sec here. Oh, Pablo, can you speak on this one? I'm gonna find my mine really quick. I don't know what happened to the link there.
Yeah, so it looks like this is a tutorial that I just gave, starting with the waffle. Let me see, is there another one that?
Well, okay. Sorry, guys. I don't know what happened to that link. We'll use Leanne's. So hers is a video.
Okay.
So when I'm using Jamboard, I think about it as either like a really large whiteboard or when we were on campus, teaching primarily on campus, and we have those big, huge Post-it notes and where we had students comment on it. I also think of it that way. So because those are good strategies to use in the classroom, and Jamboard certainly opens it up for those two things to happen. So one way that I have used it is by placing an article in the background on it and then having students make comments using the Post-it notes. Since it doesn't assign their name to a Post-it note, I do have them put their name on it so they can get credit for their comments on an article. And usually the article takes a couple pages. So I'll just put the whole thing on there, and then they can add their comments over whatever the question was that they had to focus on while reading the article. This is an example of how I would use it if it was a whiteboard. We're talking about a moment in a novel, and there's several characters that where things were happening in a chapter. We'd go through each of them, and with the different colors, it makes it nice to separate things out. So that's a way that I've used it as a whiteboard. A way to, again, go those huge Post-it notes, Post-it papers, and then having small Post-it notes on it where students have to match things. In literacy support, we work on different skills. One of them was antonyms that we had to review because of a test that they took showed they needed help. So when they first got this, these were all scattered everywhere. And after going through the lesson on antonyms, one group was assigned to do Jamboard 1. The next group was assigned to do Jamboard 2, Jamboard 3, and so on. So when they actually got it, so this one you can see it is a mess, and then with their group, they had to match the antonyms together. So when, while they're working on this, it's very easy just to scroll through to see how the group is doing. And when they're working on that, they are in breakout rooms. And lastly, we were working on comparing and contrasting. So the information that we read about, we put into a Venn diagram, but we were also working on words that you use with comparing and contrasting. So we brainstormed the words that they read about, and this Venn diagram was put in the background for us to fill in. And then we talked about how we use these sentences with these words. So if there's certain words that you want your students to use in an activity or something that you're talking about, you can put it in the background and then together figure out what are these words, or you can just tell them. And you can move things around to form sentences. There's really endless possibilities when you think of using it as a whiteboard or a large Post-it note or anything like that when using Jamboard with your students.
And thank you, Leanne, for not being here and recording that. Okay, so for my class, this is an activity I was doing on the Korean War, and they actually were comparing a view of the Korean War from South Korea and North Korea. But preparing them for it, I wanted them to ask them, why might textbooks be different? So in this one, I have actually two different questions. And as you can see, some of the ideas at the very beginning of the year, and some of these students are no longer in my class, or they were just absent. But what it does, it has their name on it, and then they clicked on it. So the questions were, why might textbooks from different countries offer different versions of the same historical events? And then when textbooks offer conflicting accounts, how do you decide which textbook to believe? And they answered those. And as they're posting them, I comment on them. Some work faster than the others. Is it possible that they can copy and paste from each other? Sure, that's possible. But I'm not grading this at all. This is just as part of the discussion that's going to lead to the ultimate writing assignment they have for this activity. So I created 40 of these 40 blanks. Let me show you a blank template here. And you'll have access to this. Okay. Because it's going to ask you to make a copy. So you'll have your own copy if you want to use. And so all I did was I went to Power School and I just copy and pasted the names. See, it says your name, your name, your name, your name. That's where I put the name in there. And then what I do is if I have 32 kids, I'll have 8 with names on there. And the reason I do that is if kids come in throughout the year, I just put their name at the end and tell them where they're going to go. So I'll usually put the question here on the side, and that's just adding a text box. Add the text box there, and what are the important whatever. And you type a question there or questions, and that's where they would address that. One thing with here, I want them to be a little more shorter on these answers than Padlet, where they're going to be much longer. So I try to keep them in there. But when I tell them, I want them to leave their name so I can see who's doing it. If you know, every one of these has their name at the top still. So I can tell that they did it. So that's one other way of doing the Padlet, is it's kind of pre-organized. So that's what I do. Also, let me get one more up there. I'll show you when I use a picture on it. So I was doing a lesson about the atomic bomb dropping, and I also put a picture on there. And what the two major I knew about, this was before. This was how I was getting them into the lesson. And this is what many of them put on there. Some change their name. Some kids don't answer. This is my period 3 class. A lot more were absent this day. But I just want to see what they know about the atomic bombs. And that's how I did this here. And so what we're going to do next is we're going to give you an opportunity to type in some Padlets and Jamboard if you use them. So we're going to put the links. I'm going to put the links in the chat box. The first one is for Padlet, and the second one is for the Jamboard.
Yeah, so those of you who have used either of these before, if you could just click on the link and just share out, how do you use it in your classroom? What are some ways maybe that we hadn't discussed that have been used by other teachers that you've seen? It's just a good kind of way to get everybody kind of talking about how they use these two different items. I personally have not used Jamboard a lot, so it's been kind of really nice to see how teachers use it, especially how Matt does it. I like the way it's kind of set up. So just click on the links and then just give us some feedback. Just let us know how you use it in your classrooms.
And so as you can see on the Jamboard, I have everybody's name on here. So click on your name, leave your name up there, and then write your answer. And then on the Padlet, this is how is Padlet sizzling in your classroom? Okay. So address either one or address both of them if you can.
Yeah, I think with Jamboard there may be a limit on how many people can be on one Jamboard. Do you know if it's been updated?
I'm gonna I didn't make an editor. I'm sorry guys about that.
Okay.
Yeah. So now just refresh it. I forgot to change it to editor. That's one thing you got to do is let me go here to. I forgot to change it in the share. Now you guys should be able to type on there. In the share button down here, I don't know if just make sure you put changes that they can edit it. Before I forgot to do that. Oh, here now it's presenting. So down here, you want to make sure where they can edit it. Otherwise, they can't do anything to it. So you should be able to double click on your name and type into it. Okay. There we go.
It won't let me access the Jamboard. It says unable to open Jam. So
refresh your screen.
I tried it with my app and with the web. I'll try it again.
Yeah, you just go by the link on that we put in there, because as you can see, other people are typing into it right now.
Right, I did. Every time I go on there, it won't let me in. So I'll try it a different way.
Okay.
I'm on the tablet, so that might be a reason why. Because I've tried 4 times.
Okay.
But I'll try it again.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know about that then. So as you can see, one thing with Jamlet, it allows a lot of people to do stuff on here. Like who was ever between Nikki and Penny, they deleted their little post-it there. Let's see who's between.
Hi, Matt.
Yeah, Pat, I think it was you.
I clicked on it and it I don't know what, I guess I must have accidentally deleted it.
Okay, so on the left-hand side,
Uh-huh.
you can add your own sticky note. See on the left-hand side, it's a sticky note.
Uh-huh.
Click on that. And then just move it around and put it to that square there.
Where it says Jamboard.
Yeah. So you can type in your name there. Did you figure it out?
No, but that's okay. I'll figure it out later. I clicked on Jamboard and then, okay, sticky note comes up. Is that mine or yours? PAT. Oh, you did it for me. Okay,
Yeah.
I got it. Okay, now just drag it on over.
Yeah.
Oh, got it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. District-wide, yeah, we should, Anthony. You're right.
It's a great idea.
Matt, have you used, I'm echoing, have you used Jamboard for like annotating a text or something with the students? Have any of you guys used it where you'll put up a passage and kind of have them highlight on it or annotate it together?
I have not done that.
Highlighted on there.
I have not, but I know it's definitely possible because you can just do like a screen capture, or if you have an image, you could just set it up as a background, and then there's a way to mark it up. And if you want to use sticky notes, you can, but if you just want to use the markers, that's also a possibility. But it's definitely doable.
It's
Yeah, I'm
doable,
thinking
but
like if you had like 5 different ones, you could have the kids go into breakout rooms and then each of them can add it as they're discussing.
Yeah.
for things like that, I usually just use the Google Docs because it makes it a little bit easier for them to share it.
Yeah.
For that kind of stuff. Because then they actually have the document instead of having to take a screenshot of it and things like that.
I'm with Steven on it. When you end up trying to use their pen tool, there's like, you're so focused on the accuracy of it that it just becomes more work. I thought it's easier to kind of highlight the things like for annotating, like on a Google Doc.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Katie, that's what I heard from my students too. Like they were getting Jamboard overloaded in some of their other classes. So like I switched to Padlet also because I found it easier to use, but so did they. Like even looking at all of our names there, I find it visually overwhelming. And I can't imagine if I was seeing that in numerous classes over and over. And when I did try to do, like when I tried to create lessons in it, I just got overwhelmed. And I was like, you know what? I don't have to learn this right now. So I'm glad we're doing this, but I don't think enough of us have used it for me to really feel like I could even use it, next week and be effective.
Well, the thing is start small and do something simple on this. And one thing what I do is I have it having for me well organized. It makes it a lot easier and actually more visually appealing to me. And the kids have no problem finding their name, double clicking and answering like you guys can do. And again, with this keeps the answers a little bit shorter than I don't want them to have that long of answers. Go ahead, Katie. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was basically done. Yeah. I don't know. I think just for me, when I was using it at the beginning of the year, the kids were just wore out of it. So like I said, I think so many of us were using it, and I think it is not as appealing to them, but it's okay. It's, you know, we need to try different things and not use the same thing all the time. And I think
agree.
it just depends on what we're using.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it's important for us to remember that there's other things out there that we can use. I mean, we've also done presentations on like Mentimeter, which is good for getting people to kind of do a quick survey type of thing or just getting feedback. Each thing has its own purpose. And I use Padlet a lot because I can have them do a lot of different things with it. I'm not too familiar with Jamboard. I've only used it a few times, but again, I've used it, like Stephanie was saying, I think it's overwhelming at first because they were getting so many of these things added. I used it in the beginning for just like a short, you know, question answer kind of participation points thing, and that worked pretty well for that. But then as Google progressed and got the question answer thing, and then, you know, breakout rooms, it started to make it easier just to do things in there for me, for Google, you know, with Google. But it's a good, I like the way Matt has it set up. And it's a really good one to, you know, way to use it.
And Judy Hurtado Dean just put this up here on slide 2. She put an image of how she uses it. I think I wonder around that, about the picture.
Yeah, Faith Ringgold, beautiful.
Thank you, Judy. Appreciate it. And see, all she did was she just clicked on the slide and she's able to. One thing with Jamboard is everybody has access to everything. So a kid, I've had them at the beginning, they thought they're funny and they're doing all this. And I just say, please don't do that. And I erase it. I go and erase it. I'm very nice to them, you know, and after a while it stopped. They stopped happening. How can we use Jamboard as a way to see entire class of students writing on their whiteboards? Sarah, I'm not exactly sure. I'm seeing everybody write on their stuff right now. You want to clarify what you mean by that?
Like if she issues everybody an individual whiteboard, I've done that in my class, maybe.
Well, if you've done that here, you would have to say, okay, Cheryl, you're number 1, Daniel, you're number 2, Takeko, you're number 3, Lindsay, number 4, and you just gotta
it's a free for all. It's a free for all.
Yeah,
right.
Free for all, or you can do
put your name on the one that's yours.
Yeah, but that's why I have it set up with my students like this, so it's not a free for all.
The only problem with Jamboard is that you're limited to 20. I believe it's 20, because I've had like 24 students in my class, and then either we have to share or me and my aide can't have one. We have to work it out.
But if you cut it in half, you can usually make a big Post-it note in half, or a text box in half, and try it that way. But yeah.
Yeah, you can also have separate Jamboard. Let's say you have 4 Jamboards per period that you set and you assign, and it has the same information to start with. That's what I've done, and I've organized all that onto a Google Doc so I can easily reuse those same Jamboards. At the end of each Jamboard, at the end of the period, I'll just save it as a saved file, and then I can go ahead and clear it out and reuse it.
So how I do it is when I have my whatever I'm doing in class, I always have a link to, it'll say period 3 Jamboard or period 4 Jamboard. So I'll have a separate Jamboard per class. And that's how they address it there. So as we're beginning to wrap this up, we're going to continue on. We'll look here. Here is Pablo, this is your sheet?
Yeah, go ahead. I'll have you just click on the first one, and this just gives you an idea of how I organize my Jamboards and my Padlets. So basically, each period has a set of links. Each link is a certain group for each period. And then this allows me to easily access and direct each group to their particular Jamboard or their Padlet. So this is all organized by period. This is a little bit of front loading. So for example, with period 1, I've got 4 groups, that'd be 4 Jamboards. I got the links in there. And then in breakout rooms, I would assign each group to their link, and they would have to contribute to that Jamboard. And then I have a separate file, which is for Padlet links. So this is something that can help you to kind of organize how you have your links. And the other one's pretty much the same thing, which is going to be Padlet links. And then if you go back to the slides.
But let this come up just so they get the idea. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, and then the last two links, those are support pages. In case you have a question, you can just put it into the box, and then you can get support that way. If it's outside school hours and you can't reach one of us, those will be available to you.
I believe this presentation should be in the Google Classroom. If not, it will be in there. Leanne will make sure we put it in there. And so for your second hour of this, you want to make sure you do the lesson plan, the reflection, and both are due by May 26th. Again, you're just going to take a screenshot of your Jamboard or your Padlet or both and put them into your lesson plan that's in Google Classroom.
Yeah, and then for the reflection, just let us know, basically just answer the questions there about how you feel that would work for your classroom. There's a few questions in there, but just they're very basic. We just kind of want to see how people are using it in their classroom. Again, there's a lot of good ideas that people have left on the one that we shared out. So it's kind of nice to be able to see how people have either used it or that people are willing to use it. We like that.
There's the link to this now. If Stephanie, is that what you wanted? Was that link there right now? That's fine.
No, I wanted the link to the slides that you're sharing.
I just put it in the chat box.
Oh, well, access is denied.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, we're denied.
Leanne. Let me see here. Anyone in this group should be able to view it. I'll put anyone with the link. Okay, try it now. Refresh right now. Yep, there we go. Okay, you guys got onto it. Fantastic. Okay, do you guys have any questions, concerns, or worries about this anymore? Again, you can ask one of us for help. We're here to help you. I'm available period 1, and I think the rest of them are available period 5.
Yeah. If anybody needs help with Padlet, please let me know. I've done a lot of different things with it. I'm more than willing to help out.
Yep, same here. Also period 2, if you want me to come by, I'm also available. The only thing is I got LPAC testing coming up, so it's a whole other thing to take care of right now.
All right, you guys are very welcome. Have a fantastic day. If you don't have anything, we'll stick around for more questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Harris.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you guys. Have a blessed evening.
You too.
Could you please say one more time, how do you start a new Jamboard? Because I got there and I don't see how to make a new one.
There's a little plus sign at the bottom.
All righty, I'll look for that. Thank you.
Hey, hold on, sir. I can show you right now. So when you go to jamboard.google.com, bottom right-hand side, I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, new jam, and that comes
That's
up.
so darn subtle, I swear.
Yeah.
I kept clicking the little stuff at the top, but yeah,
Okay.
I got it. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, you're welcome.
I did the same thing, Sarah, when I first started using it too. The exact same thing. I'm like, where do I add this? Yeah. I feel your pain. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Thank God you guys are here.
Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate the global. Yes, please send it all global district email.
Yeah,
That's
just
perfect.
in case we're all experiencing the same thing, I want everyone to know.
Hey, Anthony. You're the school board member, so you got the permission to do everything.
Yeah, I think that's why I need to relax a little. So,
So when you convert the Palmdale School District's email to Jamboard, let us know how it works.
luckily, I don't get involved in their all district emails, so that's good.
Hey, Dan, just got to do the last slide here, the 2 hour, the completion here. There's no reflection on that or sign out survey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just make sure you sign the sign-in sheet. Let me see here.
Another question, you guys?
Yeah, go ahead.
Since this is a Google app, is this the kind of thing where we could create a Google assignment and assign the Jamboard to each kid so they have their own individual one?
You would have to create a different Jamboard for every kid.
Like that would happen automatically by Google, wouldn't it?
No, not this. Yeah, I see. It's not like when you have one document you can no, you can't. I know what you're saying. Not in Classroom, right?
Yeah, it's not like in Google Classroom where you can make a copy for each student. It doesn't work that way. No, unfortunately, I wish it did.
If you're trying to do that, Google Slides would be a better option.
Yeah, they just put their name on each slide. Have them do it. Have them write their name on the slide and do it that way.
I'm just on a quest to find a way where I can throw up everybody's whiteboards and watch them writing. So far, Nearpod's the only thing that does that, but it's so darn laggy. We just hate being in there. So trying to figure out if I can make this one work that way. I think Darwin said he had figured out a way to do that. So maybe
whiteboard.fee. You could use that. That's probably the better one to use for if you're going to try to do something like that.
Okay. All right, and just ignore the fact that it wants me to log in and buy things.
Yeah, well, there's a free version of it.
Yeah, I know Lindsay does it. So if she's, I'll check it out. But thank you guys.
Yeah, either that or honestly, like Anthony was saying, use a Google slide, and then you could on the left-hand side you'll be able to see as they're writing things. You could just click on it and just go to whichever slide for that student.